Now I think anybody please confirm. Perfect. Let's go. So Priyank and Vedant, you're the men's of the hour. Over to you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rajat. First of all, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session. My name is Ratan Shah. I'm the Chief Business Officer at AIMS Consulting Services. I also have here with me Priyank Rosani, who's our founder and CEO. Before we begin, huge shout out and thanks to Shajat for organizing and hosting this session. And thank you so much for all the members of the Indo Sales community who have taken their time out to join us for this 2-hour session today. And let's just quickly move into it. But before I move into the entire tool training, there are a couple of expectations I'll set over here. One, this is not going to be a very feature oriented or a fast paced feature walkthrough of the tools. We're going to cover features, but the idea is to focus more on the different business use cases, understand what is it that our thought process can do to solve sales problems using these tools. Okay. I'll quickly present my screen. Please let me know if it is visible.
Before that, Vedant, if Priyank, you can also introduce about yourself and AIMS Consulting.
Hi all. My name is Priyank. I am the founder of AIMS Consulting Services. So we started this company on 1st October 2019. It's been more than 6 years. I started as a freelancer with 2 clients, validated the idea for 1.5 years, and then actually moved to purely lead generation business. Registered this company on 18th March 2021. We are a team of 14. We are completely remote. I'm based in Bombay. Now Mumbai. बोलूंगा तो मारेंगे सब लोग, but now in Mumbai. So yeah, it's been 6 years. We have been catering to a lot of startups. We have now moved to consulting, purely GTM consulting, and we are actually exploring consulting with a lot of actually partners as well. It's been pleasure to actually be in a part of sales community, very active sales community in India primarily. I can say that because that was one of my dream to actually have a sales community, but someone is actually doing that for a while now. I'm glad that Shajat is doing something like this. Thank you so much for giving us the platform as well. We can actually start. We will cover the use cases for sure. And if you have any specific use case in mind which is pertaining to your industries as well, you can definitely ask us those questions. We will cover that. We will, in case we also create a lot of videos as tutorials as well. In case there is any unique specific use case, we will definitely pass it on to Shajat, and Shajat can actually forward it to everyone, or we can actually we can forward it to the group as well. So we can start. Yeah, not wasting much of time, but yeah, we can start.
Yeah. Please let me know once my screen is visible. I hope it's visible now. Cool. I'll just so I won't be able to see you guys, but yeah, Priyank and Isha from our team is there, so they will be able to understand what sort of reactions they are getting. But moving on, today we're going to cover 3 tools. We're starting with Clay, which is an AI-powered prospecting and research platform. We'll then move into LinkedIn Sales Navigator, one of the most well-known tools in the sales world, where we're going to cover different use cases of prospecting and how to do outreach on LinkedIn using Sales Navigator. And lastly, we're going to cover a tool called as PhantomBuster, which is used for data extraction and scraping. Before I move into Clay, I'll just quickly come back to the screen. Would want to understand how many of you are aware of Clay or are using Clay right now? If you can just give a thumbs up, that'll give me an idea as to how many people are new to this, how many people are aware of this. Okay. I see a couple of people who are aware, a couple of people who are new to this. So I'll keep the flow that way. I will ensure that I explain the use cases, the different aspects of Clay really well. To begin with, before I jump into the use cases, I'll show you how Clay looks like. So this is how the Clay platform looks like when you are actually logging onto it for the very first time. We have our data sources over here, which we can use to start with building the lists. Coming back to the use cases, so we are covering 4 use cases for Play today. We're going to start with AI-powered company research, wherein we are considering that, say, if we are a salesperson in a payment aggregator company, and if we want to build a high-quality account list, how do we do it? Second use case is considering that if we are running a marketing agency, which is a very cluttered area right now, and if we want to target founders of retail companies, how do we do that? That's wherein we are going to bring in the personalization element as well. Then comes data enrichment, wherein we are going to see if we have, say, a raw data, how can we complete it using Play's AI functionality? And finally, we are going to learn how to build sales signals for a lending marketplace for pitching partnership to certain set of companies. So overall, these are very unique use cases we have taken. And we want to explain over here that Play isn't just a tool, it's more of a sales intelligence layer for you. So let's quickly dive into the first use case. So as I mentioned, the first use case is about doing AI-powered company research. In this case, as I mentioned, we are a payment aggregator platform. The target audience or the target companies that we are looking for are SaaS and D2C companies. Now, ideally, what happens is when someone tells us, or when we want to target SaaS and D2C companies, what we might do is we might go onto Google, search for top SaaS companies, top D2C companies in a specific region, say in India or so, and we get that list, and then we approach those companies. But when it comes to other platforms, other tools, we have filters, but we don't have a specific filter for industry or segments like SaaS, D2C. There are more prospective industries like retail, software development, under which these industries lie. So we want to see how we can use Clay's AI keyword research or keyword search to pinpoint to exactly those companies that fall in that segment. That's the first thing that we're going to learn today. And eventually, we are also going to understand this particular key question that I've put in over here is which SaaS or D2C company will most likely benefit from the product. So that's where the qualification part comes in. Okay, now I'll quickly move on to Clay. I'll show you guys how we do this. So first things first is we're going to start with doing a company search. That's when we click on find companies and we put in our basic filters over here. Say if I'm going ahead and let's take D2C as a category that I'm looking for. Okay. Now primarily D2C companies fall in retail segment, say apparel and fashion being one of those segments. So I'm taking that. I would want to target mid-sized companies, so I can take the headcount as 50, 200, and let me set the location. So now, if you see, these are very basic filters. This for sure everyone will be aware of, but I'll show you the differentiator that comes in. So I'm just typing in, say, India as a location over here, and I'll show you where Clay acts as a differentiator. It acts as a differentiator in offering us filters like this. That is description keywords to include. Now, if I type D2C over here and press enter, I'm going to get just the list of those companies that have actually mentioned D2C on their company profile. So that is how what Clay does is it uses AI to search for this exact keyword in the company's description. So this is how we are clear with the first step, that is filtering the list to have just D2C companies in place. As a next step, say I want to limit in terms of my usage or the data that I want to see. For now, let's keep at 10 companies that I want to analyze. So I'll click on next. And the first thing that Clay does after the filter is it creates a table. Now on the left hand side, as you can see, it initially asks us if we want to enrich the companies. Now enrichment over here means adding of different details. I'll just go ahead with the basic enrich company. Why this matters is because of the credit utilization. Just a few technical things over here is when you first sign up on Play, you get around 2000 credits to use to play around, and post utilization of those credits, every month you get 100 credits. Okay, so we need to be very mindful in terms of the credit utilization. I'll just run this. We'll see how the output looks like. So this is how I have my output. Now, if you see the sort of user interface that Clay is offering is more of a Google sheet or an Excel file where we, as it is, say import all of our data from multiple tools, paste it, and this is how the look and feel is. So over here we have things very much organized, wherein we have the company size, we have, is it a private or a public company, the locations, their domains, and we have the enrichment also done in terms of when was the company founded, what is the follower count. So step one, D2C companies, that is cleared. Moving on to step 2, what we want to analyze over here is whether this company will qualify for my payment aggregator platform or not. So over here, we are going to add on 2 points, okay, 2 data points we're going to add over here that will help us in terms of figuring out whether the company will be qualified or not. So the idea here is for me to understand which company will be qualified or not, whether that company already has a payment gateway or not, is what I want to figure out. What we ideally do is we might say go onto the company's website. I'll just show an example. So if I say go onto this particular company's website, what I can do, I can simply go to the cart. Let me just pick a particular product. Let's say I'll pick this particular product. And if I want to see whether they are using a payment gateway or not, all I can do is that I can go to the cart and then check what is the payment gateway that they are using, right? So that is how I'll be able to find that, okay, what is the exact payment gateway that you're using. But are you able to do that for all of those companies at scale? So say if you have a list of 1,000 companies and you want to do all of that, it becomes an impossible task for a salesperson to do. That's wherein what we're going to do is we're going to use one of the enrichment options, that is website tech stack. Tech stack is basically getting all the technology details that are integrated on that particular website. So we'll quickly select that. The input that it takes is the company's domain, which you already have in this particular column. I'll just click on save and run the first 10 rows. So as you can see over here, what's going to happen is once this gets loaded, we'll have the website tech stack populated over here. So I'll just give you an idea as to the first one over here. So this response came in. We have everything on which this particular website was built, say on Shopify. But out of this, if we want to actually see which are the ones that are part of a payment gateway or which fall in payment, now we see PayPal over here, right? But to review this, okay, or to filter this, we cannot do that manually. So what we are going to do over here, we are going to use Place AI as a filtration matrix. So when I click on a column, the multiple options that I get that include use AI. So when I click on it, I just simply need to put an input that from the, I'll put a slash over here. So the slash indicates a column that I can select. So the column that I want to select over here is the tech stack. Filter and give me, say, payment tech or gateway. Yeah. And then see, this is a very simple basic prompt that I've given. Now, based on this, what Clay does when I click on generate is it creates a more specific prompt to give its own AI to give us that particular output. Okay, so this is how it has created that entire prompt for us. So many a times what happens is people talk about prompt engineering, and as sales folks, we know very basic prompts. We know that, okay, this is the output that I'm looking for. And based on that, we just want another AI to do that job for us. That's exactly what this particular platform has done. Now I'll click on save and I'll run this. Now, oftentimes what happens is while the AI runs, it takes a couple of seconds, couple of minutes to actually get that done. What I have done is I've already, to save the time, I've already done that. So over here, when I click on that particular response, you can see that for that company, I have the payment gateway platforms that are integrated onto it and the payment processing platforms as well. The second touch point or the second data point that I might look at is the number of visitors that they are getting on a monthly basis. For this, what I can do is, again, I can go to actions. And there is this option of getting the monthly website traffic. And I have already collected that as well over here. Now, when I want to qualify a company based on the current platforms that they are using and the number of visitors that they are getting, the idea over here is that if a company is already integrated or is already using multiple platforms, they already have a huge cost in terms of integrating with these multiple vendors. My payment aggregator platform is focused towards solving that by offering one single platform to access all of these. So that is how I'm looking at the fitment for this particular company to approach. Right? And the monthly website visitor, this gives me an idea as to whether they have a good volume of transactions coming in or not. Because that's wherein I'm going to see that what is going to be my revenue. So finally, based on these two parameters, what we have done is we have created one more AI that helps us in terms of understanding whether there is a fitment or not. So this is the sort of prompt that I've given, that based on all the details that are there, do a quick qualification check on whether the company can be approached for this aggregator platform or not. And I have specifically mentioned that the output that I want should be in the form of strong fit, moderate fit, or low fit. And finally, I have my output over here. So this is the first use case wherein we're using Clay and its AI features to find companies in specific sector and qualify them for us to approach. Yeah.
Yes, Priyank.
Yeah, so just to add over here, so the prompts are very important. So don't write random prompts. Okay, you need to be very specific when you are actually writing prompts because you are using AI. So when we are writing prompts on ChatGPT, sometimes we write some random prompts here and there and we get bizarre results. So you need to be very specific because what we are covering over here is the company qualification. So you need the prospect qualification properly. So it is very necessary to write appropriate prompts. In case you have any doubts how to write the prompts, we will actually cover that in the Q&A session. But yeah, so you need to be very specific when you are writing the prompts.
Yeah, is there any question? I think, Harsh, we're going to take the questions at the end of the session, so you can just take a note of it. Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the second use case that we have over here. So this was about the first use case wherein we saw how to do company research. The next use case is quite interesting because over here we are moving from the company to a prospect. So we're going to do how to do a lead research and how to create that entire personalization flow for founders. So as I mentioned in the agenda itself, that we are a marketing agency in this use case, and we want to target founders of retail brands. Again, I'll go on to Clay. And this time I'm going to take the find people option in terms of my source. And I'll just add a few filters over here that includes the company attributes. So I've put in retail, I've added company size, add the job title as founder CEO, that is whom I want to target. And I'm taking a few locations, that's the metro cities. And again, over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 20 records to run or to analyze that data. So once the filters are done, again, we'll enrich the first 10, seeing what's the output that we are getting. And yeah. So over here, as you can see, when it comes to the prospect data or when it comes to those founders, I have the names, I have the companies that they belong to, I have where are they based out of, their websites. Now, ideally, as a marketing agency, if I want to directly reach out to them saying that, hi, I have these marketing services, are you interested? Surely it's going to go into a spam or the person is going to ignore it. How do I make it more focused or how do I add more research into it is what we're going to see today or in this particular use case. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create an AI that is going to do a brand analysis based on their website. Now, as Priyank mentioned earlier, that it's very important for you to write or draft the right prompt. Right? So over here, what we have done is we have taken the help of ChatGPT. We have told ChatGPT that give us a simple prompt for analyzing a brand based on their website and identifying gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to copy this. You can obviously make any improvements that you want to do in this if you are from that background. But if you're just wanting to understand a few things in terms of what is their brand, what are the gaps, then you can use directly ChatGPT. And over here, I'll again go to the actions. I'll click on use AI and I'll paste that over here. Now over here, I'll just make a few changes, analyze the website. And one of the most important things over here for us to give instructions to Clay is we need to put in which column are we targeting. So over here, just the website won't work. So I'm just going to put in / and I'll select the company domain. And again, I'll click on generate. So what's going to happen over here is it's going to create that entire prompt for me. It takes a couple of seconds again to create that prompt. So it is setting the context over here. And finally, it will give us the output as well. So it's going to tell us what is the evaluation matrix, what is the output that it's going to give. So we'll be just wait for a second over here because I want to show you guys how does the output look like and what is it that you look for when such prompts are created. So see, this is how the output will look like. That what the brand clearly communicates, what's missing or unclear, what are the alignment risks, what's the impact improvement. Now you need to understand one thing is if according to you, you feel that no, I want something else, I want to tweak this, then this is the right time to do it. But then you can go back again to your prompt over here that you have written, modify it, click on generate again before actually running this particular prompt. Once that is done, again, I'll click on save and I'll run it. Now we have done, again, we have already had the output created. So I'll just show that to you guys that how does that output look like. So this is how the brand strategy analysis looks like, wherein for that particular company, it has given me a complete response. It has given me the reasoning. It has told me where is the misalignment. Okay. So I have an idea that now that I know what are the misalignments or what are the gaps, I can include that as part of my email outreach. It has given us the recommendations as well, that what can we mention in our email in terms of the brand analysis itself or what are the brand gaps. Next step, when we talk about marketing, we cannot miss out on social channels, right? So how do we find social channels? So this is wherein we can add a column. Again, we can use AI and we can see that find Instagram pages of the company. And I'll again click on save. So I can generate first. It'll generate a very simple play agent. So over here, if you see the term play agent, so play agent is nothing but Play's AI agent, okay, which then uses or which then searches on the internet for those specific companies and gives us the Instagram IDs. So one more thing I would like to add on over here is we have just taken Instagram as an example, but you can use this to search for anything about that particular company. You can search for news, you can search for their LinkedIn profiles, you can search for the recent posts, everything. How do you do that is by selecting the use case over here, that is web research. Again, I'll save and I'll run this. One interesting thing I would like to share over here is you can run parallel tasks over here and not just one task. Many times what happens is if you feel that, okay, this is taking too much time and you're just stuck because your output is not coming, you can run a parallel task which has no dependency on this to ensure that within the time that you have, you're making the best use of it. A question that you might have over here is, say, if we are running this one time, what if we have a new list of companies and that then we want a new list of prospects and then we want to again do this activity? Will we need to set up, do everything again and again? The answer is no. Once you have a clay table created, all you can do is just add on your prospects over here by clicking add or importing them. And on top over here, if you see this play button, you just need to select on that and it will run for that entire column where there is missing values. So it becomes a recurring thing and a scalable table that you can build. So again, over here, since we already have the Instagram profiles in place, I again used AI to then analyze their Instagram page. This is a sort of prompt that I've given. I'll just show that to you as well. So it's very simple. What I've asked the AI to do is extracting the recent post and doing a brief brand analysis. And this is how I have my output, wherein, this is how I have my output, wherein it has given me the reasoning. It has given me the brand analysis over here, wherein it has analyzed the tone, the theme, the audience signal, and what is the differentiation that this particular company is bringing in. And finally, the time comes for me to create an AI agent that helps me in terms of creating that personalized email. So in that case, what I have done is I have asked AI to help me with drafting that personalized email that I can send to a prospect. And over here, finally, I have mentioned that I am going to pitch about my marketing services. And I want to highlight how we can assist them in elevating their current brand status. Now, we usually, what we do is if we want to personalize, we are able to do it for a few accounts or a few people. But what if you had the potential to do it for thousands of people and then run an email outreach or email campaign on it? That's wherein you're able to get more conversion out of your email outreach. Moreover, this can also help, say, if you are approaching through any other channel, say LinkedIn or calls, So you will have pitch points that you can pitch over your, as in based on the analysis, you can say over a call that, hi, I actually went through your website and your Instagram and found these few things. I love the way your brand is positioned, but I think that I can help in this way. So that is how you can add value to your conversations with your prospects. Finally, as an output, what I have over here is the email body. So for this particular person, I'll just show you how that entire email format looks like. So yeah, this is how we have the email, wherein we have a very personalized intro. We have a review that is done, and we have this recommendation that this is how you can sharpen your message also. And this is completely different for all others as well. There might be a similar format like I've been following also. That's what AI agents do. But then we have a different point for every single one. Now, our job as salespeople then becomes is not just to rely on the AI response, but to review it before we are sending it. If you see that there are any pointers that can be changed or that are not relevant, you can remove them, you can add your pointer. But the time that gets saved from building something from scratch to having it already ready and just making a few changes, that is the impact that this tool provides. So yeah, this was about the second use case, wherein right from the start, we did a deep research in terms of doing a brand analysis and then moving on to creating personalized emails, which you can later share. Now, once you have these emails in place, you can use Clay's email automation itself. Or if you already have an email automation tool in place, what you can do is that you can simply export this by going on actions, exporting in either CSV or exporting if you want to export to CRM or any other place, you can do that. Send to sequencer is where you use Clay's email automation. Yeah. So this was about the export functionality. Yang, anything you want to add for this use case?
No, good for now.
Okay, cool. So that was the second use case that we had. Moving on to the third use case. Now, this is one of my favorite use cases because this is a genuine problem that I faced for one of our clients. Now, as sales folks, we attend a lot of events, go to a lot of exhibitions, and we even participate. So a lot of companies make huge investments in terms of a booth. What happens is when you are planning to invest in an event, the organizers often give us an idea as to these are the sort of or designation of people who are going to attend the event, or these are the companies who are going to attend the event. So similar thing happened wherein one of my clients, they told me that they are participating in an event in the US when they won't have a booth, and the organizers have given a list of companies and the titles of the people who are going to attend. So they cannot share the complete data. So they have just shared these two data points with me. They asked me, okay, now we find the data and let us approach them. What struck me at that point is, if I'm getting this data, then can it be part of me getting an idea as to whether I should invest in it or not? So that is wherein this use case was born, wherein I'll just take you through it. I'm just super excited to show this to you. Yeah. So this was the data that they got. There's just the titles and the company names. Now I had to work on this to finally get an enriched data wherein I have the person's LinkedIn profile, I have the company's details to analyze whether there is a good fit for it or not. So the company that I'm talking about was a robotics and warehouse automation company. So I'll quickly show you what we start with. The first step that I thought about over here is finding the company's domain for me to understand and enrich more details. So I started with that. The first step, that is a company domain. I took the company name as an input and I started running for the first 10. Now this entire database was of around 500, 700 companies, and I wanted to create something that worked across. So for the first 10, I'm doing my test. I'd like to share something over here. Since we come from a sales background and using such technical tools, what we need to do before playing with Clay is analyzing or understanding what all data points we want to have. So I would recommend that whenever you start with using Clay, understand that what are the most relevant data points for you, and based on that only add the fields or columns over here, because every single column that we add is going to subtract the credits that we are getting over here. Right now I have my domains over here. What I can do over here if I'm doing everything manually is I can go to their website, check what they are doing, and then come back and qualify them, mark them green if I want to do manually. In this case, I don't want to because I have a platform like Play. So again, I'll use AI. Actually, no, so my bad. I'm not going to use AI. I'm going to use the company enrichment over here, wherein I have this enrich company, which gives me all details about that company based on the domain. And these are the fields that I will be getting. So I want the company size for sure. I want to know which industry they are in. I want to know the description so that I don't have to go to their website and check everything. I would want their country of origin. If I want the location, then I can even add that. And finally, I'll save and run this. So if you see, I'm being very much mindful in terms of the credit utilization that is happening. Now, for every column, if it is taking 10 credits, then I'm seeing that, okay, what is the exact utilization that's happening? Finally, as you can see, it has added the columns and it has added the details as well. This is how quickly it is able to do. Unfortunately, while doing manually, it's going to take us a hell lot of time, but automation is the next game. So yeah, I have my company details over here. The next thing that I want to do over here is I want to understand for these companies, where all are they present? So how many locations do they have? As I mentioned that I'm selling a warehouse automation solution. I would want to know if they have multiple warehouses or not. I want to know what all locations are they present in. So for that, I'll show you something that is very interesting. Is in terms of enrichment, Play is not just limited to these enrichments. There are multiple other enrichments and integrations that it offers across multiple tools. And there are templates that the community members, that the Clay community members contribute to over here. So as you can see, there are multiple things like sending messages and everything. So you can explore all of this. One of our recommendations to anyone who starts with a new tool is you need to exploit the tool as much as you can. Only then you will understand the potential of it. You will understand where is it getting used and how is it solving your problems. Over here, as I said, I want to look for locations that the company is present in. So I'll just simply type locations. So that's find number of locations for the company. So I'll click on that. So this is again something that someone has contributed to in the community, and they have already created that entire prompt over here. And I'll just apply that template and I'll run it. So this is wherein we are using the AI for the very first time on this use case. I've already done this, so I'll just go back and show this to you on the outcome. So this is the number of locations that I will be able to find. Parallel to this, as I said, one more thing that I wanted was to find the LinkedIn profiles of these people. So if the president of A2B fulfillment is there, I can Google this and like president A2B fulfillment LinkedIn profile. I'll get it that way. But again, I cannot do for all the companies manually. So I add a column, and this is again where we're going to use AI. We're going to say find the LinkedIn profile of the prospect based on. So again, as I told earlier, we're going to reference the columns that we are taking based on the title and the company name. So after giving this, I'll generate the prompt. That'll again get me that output. So yeah, I have my prompt created over here. And we've already done that, so it's not waste time for waiting for that. But yeah, so here I have my LinkedIn profiles. So where it is not found, it is not found. But wherever I have the profiles, that's great for me. Finally, so I have two things over here. I have data that will help me in terms of understanding that the visitors that are coming in or the attendees that are coming in, whether they are as per my ICP audience or not. So again, if I see president, VP, CEO, majority of the companies that are selling a product or anything, they would want to engage with them. Why? Because these are the direct decision makers. But how relevant are these people from their company standpoint is what I wanted to analyze. Hence, we added the other details, like understanding how many employees do they have, to understand their scale, understanding what industry they are in. I'm looking at companies who have warehousing solutions and not just into transportation, so that I can figure out from their description. From their location count, I can understand that if I'm selling my product to get implemented in one of their warehouses, how much can I scale in the future? Now, these questions no one asks when they are actually investing in an exhibition. They would just go on the basis of a few key accounts that are there on their target list. They would opt for it. Finally, the most interesting thing, or the main point of this use case, was to use AI to understand whether it is relevant or whether we'll be able to get an ROI out of this event or not based on the audience. So what I have done over here is I have given it a prompt to exactly look into my use case. I've mentioned that, okay, I'm a warehouse automation company and I'm investing in a booth over here. So give me a fitment analysis or do a fitment test that gives me an idea whether these companies and people are relevant or not, and if I'll be getting an ROI or not. After doing this, the output that I'm getting is something like this, wherein it has a complete summary, wherein it gives me whether there's a low fit count or high fit count, and what is the rationale for the ROI. So this is how I'm able to analyze. So I'll check what is the total fit score. Now for all of those 700 companies, if I'm at least getting say 100 companies that are fitting my criteria or having the highest fit score, then I'll surely invest into it. Why? Because out of those 100, I can expect certain conversion happening. So rather than blindly investing into an event or an exhibition, over here you have a more calculated move in terms of that investment. So yeah, this was about our third use case. Priyank, anything to add over here?
Good to hear.
Okay. Cool. Moving on to the fourth use case. I hope I'll just take a quick check since I'm not able to see you guys. I hope so far things have been clear. I hope this sounds a bit interesting.
So, Gurudhan, what we can do, we can finish the fourth use case and then take up all the questions on
Cool. That. Moving on to the fourth use case. This is again an interesting case. I'll set a quick context over here because this is going to be a bit heavy in terms of understanding sales signal. Now, when we talk about this use case, we are considering that we are working for a lending marketplace. So a company that has lenders who have put up their products like business loan, personal loan, gold loans, home loans, and are looking for partners with other companies, other BFSI companies to be very precise, be it NBFCs, banks, or fintechs, who have products and they would want to integrate these products also into their journey to have more offerings for their customers. Now, we'll surely get a lot of lists online which will have banks in India, NBFCs in India, fintech companies in India. Using this use case, what I want to see is whether there is a GTM fitment or not. So that is the signal that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to start over here with is first filtering on the list. So we'll start with the fourth use case. And again, I'm going to go for the find companies. Industries to include over here, I'm taking financial services. I'll take the company size as 51 to 200, 200 to 500. That's the mid-size range. Take India. Now, say for example, I have this list of companies. Okay. I'll go ahead with, let's say, 50 companies. Again, I don't want to enrich everything, so yeah. So I have, as we previously saw in one of our use cases, we have the company details over here. Correct. Now, I want to analyze, or what research I want to do is for these companies in the financial space, how is their revenue model? So as I said, what we are looking at is partnership. Now, for a lending marketplace to become a partner for a financial services company, we need to understand whether there is a similar business model that they are following or revenue model that they are following, or is there any value add that we can bring in. The first step that I'm going to do over here is understand what is the revenue of the company. There we'll take a few quick data points over here to understand. So company revenue is the first thing that I would take as a data point, and I'll run this. Then again, the next data point I'll add parallel to this is understanding how many customers do they have. Now, I won't get a direct count of how many customers do they have, but I can make a fair assumption based on the number of website users, visitors that they are getting. So I'll go to enrichment. Again, I'll take the monthly website traffic and I'll run this. Now, while this is running, there are two additional data points that we would want to understand over here to qualify this particular company to approach or pitch about our lending partnership. One, I want to understand their revenue model, that how are they generating their revenue currently. Two is I would want to understand who is their ICP, as to who are their customer base and what is the value proposition that they have for them. In the later end, I'll explain as to why do we need these two things. So I'll go over here, I'll click on add enrichment. I'll just simply search over here on revenue model. You can build an AI again for it, or you can just search, because there are a lot of people who have contributed to multiple use cases. So always start with searching, and if you're not able to find, then you can build your own AI to find the company's revenue model. So over here we have it, and I'll click on save. I'll run this. Now Clay also has a functionality of identifying the ICP based on the company's website. So we'll add that as another column, and I'll just search for ICP. So ICP and value proposition is again what we can get from a pre-built AI agent. Now these pre-built AI agents, these are all tested across multiple use cases, hence we can completely rely on them as well. But at the same time, not entirely, please do always have a check on it. We have already done this. So if you see, we have taken 4 data points over here. We have taken the revenue, the website, the revenue model, and the ICP. I'll show you how the output for each of them looks like. When we talk about the revenue model, so this is how the output is, wherein for that particular company, I know that they are generating revenue through interest, through subscriptions, and they have a freemium model as well. So I have been able to understand how are they making their revenue. This will help me in terms of understanding where can I get integrated, or how can I help them in terms of generating more revenue through the partnership. I even get an understanding of their value proposition as to what all things are they doing. So I have the ICP over here. I know what their target persona is. Now, if it is shop owners and restaurant owners over here, I have business loan, gold loan, home loan, or personal loan as my offering. Business loan might fit well in this audience. So if you connect the dots, what I have done over here by getting the target persona and the value proposition they are offering is I'm integrating, or I'm creating a more personalized approach as to if I am offering these 4 loans, does that fit for this partnership or not? And finally, to find that exact thing, we have created another agent, that's a GTM fit assessment. So what is the input that we have given over here for this particular AI agent is conduct a GTM fitment test on the company based on specific columns. So instead of giving it all the details, we have just inputted the relevant details over here. That includes, say, the company's description, the revenue model, the ICP and value prop, the traffic, and the revenue that they are getting. Finally, I've asked it to explore partnership opportunities that get well integrated with my loan products. It has generated according to that, and I have my response over here wherein it has given me the complete output. Just a second. Yeah. So it has given me a complete output over here, that in terms of the audience, is it a right fitment? So do they have the users that will opt for my products or not? What is the overall fit score? It has even given the rationale behind it. So this becomes important for us to understand whether it makes sense to approach them or not. So this is the sort of sales signal that get created. That, yeah, so if I'm adding, say, 1,000 more fintech or financial services companies over here, in terms of the response, I'm going to get exactly those signals or those scores. That'll help me in terms of approaching them. So this was about the 4th use case that we had for Clay. And yeah.
Perfect. I think very beautifully explained the entire lead journey from the company to the prospect to the enrichment and then the signaling. Guys, as I said, anyone has questions with respect to what was discussed, please raise your hand. I'll call out your name. We will take only 4 questions, and then we will move on to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Yes, Asim.
Hey, hi, Vritant. Thanks for the
Hello.
session. Yeah, looks like a good tool, and thanks for all the information you gave. I have a question with regards to the account mapping. Like, does this tool also helps us with something like who all are in the brand marketing team? What is the hierarchy? If we can get that kind of information from this as well.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So in the people search, okay, I'll just show you once. You can explore this at your end, but I'll just show you something that can help you in terms of doing that.
Yeah.
So when you go to the people search, there is the hierarchy that you can figure out. Okay. That is in terms of, say, the experience or the job title. There is the seniority that you can add on. So this will give you a complete idea. So you can add the job function as, say, marketing or branding, as you mentioned. You can add the seniority that can say manager also, and you'll get the list of all managers. And if you are wanting to look at specific companies, then in the company attribute as well, you can mention those specific industries that you're looking at. Okay. In the company section over here, I'll just be a bit. So you can add a list of companies. So if you already have a target account for whom you're looking for those brand marketing folks, you can add those domains over here, put the profile filter, and it's all sorted. So you have your output. Yeah.
So just to add what Vritant is mentioning, so you primarily actually the question is for multiple touch points, okay, from the same company. So we can do that. That's for sure. Let's say if we compare the different tools as well that are available in the market, they also have these same features as well. When we use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the LinkedIn Sales Navigator also has these filters. Okay, so we can do that in Play, definitely. So it also helps in band qualification. That is for sure.
Perfect. Irfan, please shoot your question.
Hi there. Sorry, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes. Hi there, sir. Hi, Vedant. Thank you so much for explaining this tool. It's a beautiful tool, and the way you explained is pretty good as well. My question is, so a person who is a beginner onto using this tool, and since this is a limited credit as a subscription model, how does one person identify what is the right data points to use? Would you suggest an AI to understand what are the right data points, or is this something like how do you think to understand what is the right data points? Because we some people might just randomly put down a lot of data points and use up their credits. Yeah. So is there a specific way that would help us understand what is the right data points I have to use?
Okay. Priyank, you want to take this up?
So the intent journey is very important. What is your intent to actually fetch a data from any specific tool? That is first. Okay. And what are the filters that you are going to use using those tools? Okay. So the intent is very important. What you want to extract. You don't have to use AI every time. That is one. AI. So we have AI in place. Okay. When it comes to Clay. Okay. But let's say we start with simple filters that we are already aware of. So let's start with that first and then actually move to AI. Okay. So the basics of it is very simple, where we already have seen all these tools in place. They have common filters. Just start with the intent and then move forward. How deeply you can actually do. So that is my answer for this. Yeah.
Understood. So
The intent is very important.
yeah,
How
I
you want to
understand.
navigate to the designations, the companies, how you
Mhm.
want to filter. So first, get well versed with the filters.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yes, Harsh.
Hi. My question is like the chat GPT model. Right now, like Clay has a lot of inbuilt models. Is there a way wherein we could integrate our own, say, in my company, we have a lot of custom GPTs built with a lot of logics and all the scenarios that has been placed into that. Is there a way wherein I could add, say, a Gemini model or a custom chat GPT model to Clay?
Yeah. So again, there is an option over there. Just show that to you. For a custom model, you will need API integrations, and for that you will need the paid version of Clay. But I'll show you in terms of if you want to say switch from ChatGPT to Gemini, how you can do that. I'll just present my screen once. So Clay has its own models as well. You can navigate or you can check which is more beneficial for you based on the output. So if you see over here in the model, in the model over here, you can just click on the drop down and you have multiple models. There are multiple GPT models. Then you have Claude and you have your Gemini as well. You have DeepSeek as well. And if you want to compare these models, you can do that. What I use for comparison over here is that the reason why I use ChatGPT 4.1 versus Mini is based on the task, based on the capability. So if you can see, they have mentioned a brief also over here, and they have mentioned the credits. If I have a very simple task, why would I use or spend 1 credit when I can get that done in 0.5 or 0.2 credits? So that is what you need to compare. But at least these are the ones that you can use in terms of custom. You will need API integrations.
See, if I have an API integration and like I do have a paid plan for ChatGPT, I do have a paid plan for Gemini. Again, like I'll be consuming credits. Like as of now, like it would be consuming 1 credit for 1 operation. So if I have my plan for ChatGPT and Gemini, it would be consuming the credit, or like what would be the
So you can add over here. So you can add your own account over here. In that case, it will take directly from. It won't take from Clay. It will take directly from your GPT and Gemini accounts.
Understood. That is solving my question. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Last question for this segment by Madhav. Then we'll move on to Sales Navigator.
Hey, Shida. Hi. So I actually had 2 questions. One question is basically like, how do we actually measure and validate the data accuracy in terms of any particular use case that we use in Clay? Because I was kind of a beginner with Apollo, and I thought of, actually knowing this, because I didn't find Apollo to be really accurate enough all the time.
Madhav, just for the sake of time, what is the question?
I mean, it's about the data accuracy with Clay, that how frequently is the data accurate? Because if we are generating some personalized things through the AI or any particular tool, how accurate it is. And also one more question, it is about how do we actually enrich the company level and contact level together, or we should do parallelly?
You can do parallelly or you can do both together as well. So if you're enriching the prospect, by default companies will come over there. If you're going with the companies, वहाँ पे prospects नहीं आएंगे. So and in terms of that's answering that question, answering about the accuracy. If an AI agent is used for web research, that will be actual live data. If you're referring to the data points like monthly website viewers or users or visitors, for that Clay is integrated with other tools. And hence, if you see, they have 3 tools through which they cross-check and then give you the output. So that's where in the accuracy. Accuracy depends on those tools. And the only way is to rely on them, because unless and until you have the access to it on the back end, you will get the exact views. But these tools will give you an estimate.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Great. So guys, we will take up the further questions on Clay and other things towards the end. Let's move on to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Before we move on to that, I just want to take a quick picture. Requesting all of you to please come on the camera once. Yeah.
Cool. Shall I start?
Yeah, 1 second, Vedant. Just clicking a photo. Yeah, guys, requesting all of you to please smile. Yeah, Arnav is smiling nicely today. Let's click a picture. Just a second. Thank you, Vedant. Over to you. Let's go ahead.
Cool. Now we'll start with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Okay, again, how many of you are using LinkedIn Sales Navigator? Important question. Huh? Okay. Cool. Okay, cool. Fair understanding. People are aware of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Okay. In case if certain use cases you feel are repetitive, please bear with us. And if you feel there is a new use case over here, then I hope you enjoy. Right. Yeah. So for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we are going to cover 4 use cases. Okay. First use case is keyword-based targeting. Now, in our journey of 6 years, we realized that oftentimes when people are using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, they know how to put in the filters, but it is not targeted well. okay, or the segmentation is not proper. So that's what we're going to learn today. That's the first step. Second is we're going to see account-based search and a couple of other sub use cases over there. We're going to see if we have a niche audience that we want to target, then how do we do that using certain filters. And finally, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on how to do LinkedIn outreach at scale. So these are the 4 things that we're going to start with. The first use case is keyword-based targeting. Okay. Now we have this unique way of doing keyword-based approach is wherein we define an ICP. Now all of us know how to define an ICP in terms of say the designations that we want to target, the company size, the industry location. 4 basic filters that any and everyone uses for getting to their prospect. The most important thing is this, keywords. Why is this important? Is because on LinkedIn or on any platform, people put designations by their own. There is no standard format of putting in a designation. People put it the way they want to. So if I start with a very basic thing, just zoom in a bit.
Ratan, zoom in.
So yeah, the very basic thing, this is how LinkedIn Sales Navigator looks like. For those who have never used LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for whom this is the very first time, we have the search wherein we can use LinkedIn and the lead and the account filters. We'll just start by pressing enter over here. So if I'm say typing CEO over here, okay, and as per say my filters, it's 51 to 1000. I'll take one industry, that's internet. Let's take internet and Mumbai. Let's take these filters.
Vruddhan, it'll be great if you can, keep adding the commentary because people.
Yeah, I'll do that. Just give me a second. I'll actually do that. Okay. Sure. So again, as you can see, I've put in the filters over here. I'll even explain what all filters do we get in Sales Navigator as an add-on to what we get on normal LinkedIn. So when I expand on this, there are around 20 plus filters that we get over here. The most unique one is company headcount. This is something that we don't get on normal LinkedIn search when we are doing a lead search. So this is what we get when we want to parallelly qualify a company or search a company also and a relevant designation as well. Now, once I have all my filters put in, that includes headcount, location, and the industry. The result that I'm getting after putting CEO as a keyword search over here is not direct CEO. We're getting founder and chief executive officer, founder and CEO, CHRO, which is not relevant to me. This is not relevant as per the designation. This is not relevant. The idea of doing this research is one, to explore if I'm typing CEO, then what are the designations that I'm getting? What are the different variations I'm getting? And listing them down. So CEO, if I'm adding the short form, I can add the full form as well. Same goes for founder, co-founder. So what we have done over here is we have created those multiple keywords as a first step to then search on Sales Navigator to get a very exhaustive list of people that we can target. I'll show you one different thing. We have used CEO over here. I'm going to use CEO again over here on the left hand side in the current job title. And you will see the difference in terms of the result that we are able to get. So here, as you can see, we are again getting Chief Executive Officer, Founder and CEO. What this current job title does is it looks for exactly that keyword in the person's job title, and that is across roles. So say, for example, if the person has been a director or current role is a director, somewhere or the other in their job experience, they might have mentioned CEO. That is over here. Hence, it has captured it. So to understand one thing over here about LinkedIn Sales Navigator and the algorithm is the keyword search searches for this CEO across the profile. Current job title is a more narrowed down wherein it searches exactly in the person's job title or the experience section. Now you might wonder as to, let's do it over here only. Why do we want to put a search over here? The reason is it reduces my results. So as you can see here, there are 381 results. When I remove this from the current job title, I'll be getting more results to prospect. So that's 782. So this is the difference that comes in when we are doing a keyword research. So the use case over here is to ensure that whenever you are searching for specific keywords, you're doing a proper research by seeing the first 2-3 pages of LinkedIn, seeing the relevant designations that are showing up, and making a list of it. Okay. At this point, if you tell me that, okay, let's use AI to do it, I would say no, because unless until you do some manual research, you're not going to get that output.
Yeah, Priyank wants to say something, I guess.
Yeah. Can you present the Sales Navigator? Yeah. So the search bar acts as a search engine optimization tool. Okay. What we have actually put as a CEO. The current job title gives the exact title of the people. This is how the LinkedIn algorithm works. If you just put it on search bar and search the CEOs, you will get multiple results, many results, but so the search bar acts as an SEO optimization, but the current job title only acts as the title filters. That's it. To be precise. Go on.
Yeah. So that was about the first use case that we had. Moving on to the next use case, that is account-based search. Now over here, we're going to consider that, say, we are a fintech company, and we want to target NBFCs. Now over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the account search. I'll just clear all the filters that are there, and I'll remove this over here. When I come to the account search, the filters that we get over here, the headcount is there, the annual revenue we can filter. What I'm looking at over here is the headquarter location being in India. And I'm looking for NBFCs. To be very precise, I'm looking for non-banking financial services companies. So how do I do that? So I'll put in the industry as financial services. And keeping the headcount, everything else open, I'm going to search for NBFC over here. Now, what will this do is, again, as Priyank mentioned, it is sort of a search engine optimization that it does, wherein it searches for this across the company's profile. What I'm getting over here are companies like this. Okay. So a lot of NBFCs, what do they do, or what the pattern that we have observed is in their description. Okay. They will mention it proudly that we are an RBI registered NBFC. So that gives me an idea. Now, this is a very specific use case that I'm going into. But you can also look for a similar use case across other industries as well, wherein you're wanting to pinpoint or target specific industries or specific companies in a sector. And you are aware that, okay, these companies might have mentioned this. For example, in import-export companies, a lot of export companies will mention that XYZ Exports Private Limited. So that is how you can use, again, the company search, put exports as a keyword, and you will get all of those lists. So the first thing that we see over here is whenever we come to a company page is they have mentioned NBFC over here. So say this is one of my qualified companies. Okay. If I want to find similar companies, so what happens is, say when we are talking about account-based research, there is a reference point when we consider what accounts to target. Over here, say my first reference point was for looking for NBFCs. But if I already have a couple of clients in the NBFC space, I can search for those clients and then look into what are the close competitors or what are the similar companies in that space. So now say, for example, I'll take, Indostar Capital Finance, just for example, let's take this. Okay. I would want to then see which are the similar companies. So over here, when we scroll down, there is this section called as people also viewed. Then we are able to see these companies that are in the similar context as this company. So these are the companies that I can then approach, or that I can say that, okay, these might be relevant for me to approach. So while doing account-based research or search, you need to find two things. One, the reference point, as I said. Second is competitors. This is how we are able to get the competitors. And one of the most unique things that LinkedIn Sales Navigator has started since, I think, last year, September or so, is providing account IQ, wherein it generates insights. Now, a lot of times we use AI to get insights about a company. What is the differentiator that LinkedIn brings in? Is LinkedIn is a gold mine of data, wherein for any company, any updates, say hiring updates, hiring trends, any news updates, everything people post on it. So it has that database through which it can search and give you specific insights. Now, as you can see here, what I've done is I've given it a particular service that we are offering. So specific to that service, it has given me insights as to where can it come relevant. So it has even given me that, okay, my services will be relevant in terms of expanding their reach. So this is one unique thing that I wanted to show you guys. It has even given us the sources. If apart from LinkedIn, it gets any of the sources, then we can view them. Moving on, we analyze one thing, that how to find the right companies to reach out to. Say if this company, I'll just show a couple of companies that are say relevant for me to reach out to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of these companies by clicking on save to list. This is wherein I'm creating a lead list, a company list or a target account list. So I can just simply create new list, add target accounts and create and save. Now you might ask me that if I want to say look for the right people in these companies, and how do I do that? There are two ways to do it. I can either select them and click on view current employees. So what it's going to do is going to take all the companies and mention them in the current company filter, and I'm going to get the details for you. Then I can look for those specific people based on specific job titles. If I want to look for say head of marketing, okay, or CEO, then I can actually search for that and I'll have those specific people in those companies. So I think someone actually asked this question earlier, that if I want to search for multiple touch points in a company, then how can I do this? So you can do it in this way on using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. One more way of doing this is, say over there we selected companies on one list, one page itself. What if I have created a company list of hundreds of companies? Then having those hundreds over here won't make sense. So in that case, what we can do is that we can expand over here in the lead filters. We can click on the account list over here and we can include the target accounts. That's one more way to go about it in terms of doing account-based reach to specific people who are in our target audience. So this was about the second use case as to how can you do account-based search and outreach to those people in those accounts. Yeah. Moving on to the third use case, wherein we want to find niche audiences. Over here, we're going to cover 3 specific audiences. This includes, the first is how do we look for high ticket buyers or HNIs and UHNIs. Now, there are a lot of companies that are selling investment products, or they are selling for certain specific products that require people to have certain net worth. Okay. On LinkedIn, how do we find it? Is one, by understanding what are the designations. So this is very intuitive, wherein we are saying that if a particular company or company's chairman, managing director, or an investor is there, for sure they are going to have a high net worth. That's just an assumption that we're making at this point, because we can say that, yeah, investors have money to give to other organizations or so, or invest in certain products or so. So we use these keywords. Now, I'll just put in one particular keyword over here. I'll just clear everything. And we'll put in the current job title as chairman. We'll take the geography as India. Now, for these specific use cases, what I want you guys to understand is it's not just about setting filters or having the keywords in place, but it's more about understanding and analyzing that who is going to be relevant, or how do we make the best out of these filters. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is all game about having the right filters in place and reading the profiles well. These are 2 things on which your entire LinkedIn game can be built on. So if I have, say, the chairman as a designation mentioned, and if I have, say, my company headcount mentioned, so I'll take chairmen of mid-size companies or large enterprises in place. So this becomes my first list of prospects that I can approach, because these can be people who have vast experience, who have that wealth to purchase a high-end product or very high-value products. Second, when I talk about investors, now if you see over here, while doing the headcount filter or setting them, for investors, we have kept it very much open. The reason being is, when an investor, or on LinkedIn, I'll just show that as an example to you. If over here, instead of this we take investor and we use the company headcount. So for example, this, if the investor is an angel investor or an individual investor, and if they have associated themselves with a particular company, doesn't mean that they are having that as their own entity. So headcount filter over here won't make sense. What would make sense more over here is just understanding how many companies have they invested in. So that's the sort of insight that we need to gain. And hence we often keep the headcounts as open in this particular segment, right? We can target specific locations where we know that investors are primarily, or rather these high net worth individuals can be placed. So where are they based out of? Metros for sure, and tier 2, 3 cities if you want to target, and we can look for that as well, right? So that is how this particular use case is fit in. The next use case that we would want to see is, I've seen that a lot of companies are targeting freelancers as well to sell any of their SaaS solutions or any freemium products. So how do we figure out freelancers? The most simplest way is to search for freelancers over here. And then we'll get the list of freelancers right here. Okay. Because a lot of time people mention freelancer in their profile. But what is another way of going about it is going onto the company filter and selecting the company type. Because what happens is we have an option over here to target self-employed people. So this is another way wherein we can target freelancers who have their own companies but are single entity companies or single person companies, one person companies. Yeah. Apart from this, if you are aware of freelancing tools like Upwork or Fiverr, so as you can see, LinkedIn has directly given us that recommendation that freelancers you can find on this particular platform. So when we actually search for it, what we're going to get is list of freelancers that are listed on this platform. So if we are looking for freelancers who are listed on specific platforms, if as per your use case you want to do that, and this is the way to go about it. Okay. And I will even show you in the next tool as to how can we make the best use of this data and further qualify them. Yeah. So this was in terms of finding freelancers.
We also have, just to add, we also have in the current job title. Can you just select current job title? Yeah. So you can add self-employed. And then let's show them the options as well, what LinkedIn is showing. And then you can just add freelancer as well.
Yeah.
So self-employed is there as a filter in the current job title. Then freelancer. Yeah, so there's freelance. There's a professional freelancer as well. Just enter freelancer as a word. So there's a professional freelancer as well. So you can get specific filters in the current job title itself. Okay.
Yeah. So this is about the second use case when it came to finding niche audiences. So the idea over here that I want to share with you guys is for any use case that you have, and if you are targeting any niche audience, first you need to understand who is it that you are targeting. And second is see how a platform can help you in terms of finding how to reach those people or how to find those people. And that's where the third use case comes in, which is a very interesting use case, right? A lot of Indian companies, okay, they want to expand abroad, they want to sell abroad, be it a product or a service company. But there's a very huge challenge in terms of penetrating that market, because there is a perception that, say, if I'm targeting US as a region, okay, my response rates, my reply rates are going to be very low. Okay, unless and until if I'm using many companies, they use pseudonyms to then do the outreach to build that trust. So the idea that we realized is, what if we could find Indians abroad, because Indians are everywhere. So how do we find Indians abroad who are actually at those positions or who are running companies where we can pitch our product or service? Okay. So what we do over here is we realize a couple of things. One is, how do we find Indians abroad is based on their surname. So there are common surnames that we have figured out and we have put in over here. There are way more than this, but this is just for a test. So say Sharma being one of the most common surnames that is there. I'll just type Sharma over here, and I can put in the geography as US.
Put UK
I'm
as well.
targeting, huh?
Put UK as well.
I'll put UK. Let's start with United. Okay, let's take United Kingdom.
And Singh would be the best option to actually start with.
Take it. So when you put United Kingdom, we again have people, okay, who have the surname as Sharma. Again, these are Indians, and you can see the positions that they are in: founder, sales director, CTO. So this becomes much more relevant for us. Why? Is when we approach them, there is a sense that, yeah, they can respond to us because they understand about the company is expanding to it. So you might get a much higher response rate in comparison to approaching foreigners or the residents over there. So this is the idea of using this particular keyword. Other ways to do this is putting in the language. If I'm typing Hindi, so why this becomes relevant is whenever you sign up on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn asks you that what are the languages that you are aware of. So if you don't want to go to the say the surname filter, but you still want to find Indians abroad, you can see that what all people have mentioned Hindi in their profile. So this searches for exactly that, and we have those profiles again over here. To narrow this down, I can again use the current job title filter where I'll say put in founder, and I'll get all of those people who are founders. So 377 results is what I have. Obviously, I need to cross check that, but yeah, there will be a few profile like this that might come in. But yeah, so this is how you can find Indians abroad. This is about the second use case, that the third use case that we had in place in terms of targeting niche audiences. And coming to the final use case, that is how to do LinkedIn outreach at scale. So many times I'll tell you restrictions that we have with LinkedIn outreach. So on LinkedIn, we are able to send only 200 connections. That is, if we have a Sales Navigator subscription, we're able to send 200 connections in a weekly basis. Out of that, how many might accept, might not accept is a variable, because that keeps on changing based on how many connections do you already have, what are the mutual connections that you might have, or whether they are relevant or whether they are active on LinkedIn or not. So with so many variables and just having 200 connections to send, how do we do it? So as a company, what we follow as a rule is we ensure that we are sending 200 connections on a Monday itself. To ensure that throughout the week, when anyone accepts the connection, all we have to do is just send the messages. But if I want to make a list of people that I want to approach on LinkedIn, say for example, let's go back to the first use case that we had. Okay, these are the people that I want to approach. I have multiple people, multiple segments, and I don't want to just get business from one industry, one designation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say put in, I'll just clear this. I'll put in Chief Executive Officer over here. I'll put in one headcount over here. I'll put in one industry over here. Oh, sorry, one geography over here. Say Mumbai. I'm sorry, the net is a bit slow over here. I'm not sure why, but yeah. And industry I'll take as software development. Okay, I've taken this. Say what I've done over here is I've taken one designation, one industry, one location, and one headcount. What I'm going to do over here is if I'm getting 129 results over here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to have another tab created. I'll have multiple such tabs created. So this is a multi-tab approach wherein you have multiple tabs created. All you're going to do is change the filters. Once you're changing the filters, you will have different audience and different segments. So if we are having, say, 200 connections that we have to send to people, I can take 50 from my first ICP, 50 from the other ICP, 50 from the next, 50 from the next. So what's going to happen is out of those 4, you can map exactly how many of those are more likely to convert or more likely to accept your connections. So this is a complete ICP test that you can do, wherein you are creating a lead list. of 50 people from your first search, 50 from the next, 50 from the next, and analyzing out of those 50, how many have accepted the connections. So I'll show you one thing, how do we do that? Now, this is the search. Say if I'm saving a set of leads that are relevant, I'm just seeing the designation right now, and I'm saving these leads to a list. I'll say create this as the first list. Okay. Just a second. Okay, say for example, I have this recommended lead list. Right now, I'm not able to save the leads, but say if I have the lead list, what Sales Navigator offers over here is when we go to the lead section, we have the leads mentioned over here, and there is the outreach activity and date added mentioned. So we can use this as sort of a CRM for us to track what is the activity. So for example, when I click over here on invitation sent, it was sent 4 months ago. If the person might have accepted the request, then it will come as request accepted. So as you can see over here, accepted the invitation request 3 weeks ago, and the message was sent. So what this will help you is I've saved 50 leads in each of the lead lists. I can track if all the connections are sent, how many connections out of that are accepted. So across these 50, 54 lists that I have, I'll be able to track, say, if in one list there are 10 out of 50 that are accepted, 3 out of 50. So across those ICPs, I'll be able to then figure out and narrow down on where I'm getting more acceptance rate. And in the next week, when I'm sending those again 200 connections, I can change the ratio. Instead of, say, sending 100 for my lead list one, then 50-50 I can do. That is how you can play around with the lead lists as well, and in terms of your ICP. The other way, in terms of personalizing and doing an outreach to someone, is when I'm actually clicking on a particular person's profile, we have this option of sending a message. Again, when I showed about the account IQ, that's the AI-based account insights that we're able to get. What LinkedIn Sales Navigator also started offering is draft with AI option, wherein it takes in an input as to what am I selling. Say if I'm selling B2B lead generation services, it has given me a couple of prompts. That do I want to start a conversation? Do I want to just simply highlight my services? Or do I want to emphasize how we are going to be able to support that particular company? What is it going to base that on is on the company insights. It even analyzes what are the business challenges, and it even analyzes what are the recent activity of that particular prospect. So the time that we utilize in terms of creating a personalized message based on reviewing a person's recent activities can get automated over here using AI. So I have this complete personalized message that is ready, and all I need to do is just click on send. So these are the two approaches in which you can send connections quickly and send messages as well. This part, the draft with AI, becomes relevant when is, say, for example, week 1, I've sent the connections, but there are people who have not accepted my connection yet. So I can send them this in mail. Okay. So that is how this particular platform works. In terms of the credits over here, 150 credits, email credits we get on a monthly basis. That is for profiles that are closed. For open profiles, LinkedIn doesn't charge anything. So roughly, based on my experience, you're able to send around 200-250 emails in a month. Yeah. So that was about LinkedIn in terms of the use cases that we discussed on. So yeah.
Perfect, Vedant. I think a lot of tip and tricks there, which I think a lot of us might not know. So guys, again, 4 questions for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If anybody has, please raise your hand. I'll call out your name. Otherwise, we'll move on to PhantomBuster. Okay, Bhavani, the question. Sorry, not Bhavani, Shubham. My bad, I was not able to see one there. Yes, Shubham.
Hello.
Yep,
Yeah,
Shubham,
so
please.
I do not have a question, but I have a suggestion. If you can use Boolean operators as well. Let's suppose if you want to find founder but not CEO, then you can enter NOT in capital letters. Then it will find only founders, not CEOs. So if you can show it whether we are able to do it, because I have tried it and it works very well. It filters out all the irrelevant positions and the profiles.
So you're talking about the Boolean search, that is it, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll tell you the reason why I did not show that is when we are using LinkedIn search, okay, surely we would want to narrow down. But using the Boolean search, it narrows down the result up to that extent that we miss out on potential leads. Okay.
Hmm.
The approach that I would recommend following on LinkedIn Sales Navigator is be as expansive and as extensive as possible, rather than filtering it down to the very minute details. Because surely there will be people, say founder and CEO, who might be relevant, but then that gets out of your scope because you have filtered it up to that level. So yeah, I would, this is my recommendation, that Boolean search on LinkedIn, it works well, but will restrict the prospects that you're going to get.
So we can use it for finding a niche audiences.
Yeah, you can. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Bhavani.
Yeah, hi. So actually, my question about the account IQ. So what happens that whenever we have a top organization, so they mention their data on any of the resources like LinkedIn, their website. But what if we are reaching out a company, they are not enough big and they do not have data on their any of the resources. So is there any another trick to like find out the key information about those companies so that we can personalize our outreach to reaching out to the respective ICP?
So over there, in that case, if the company doesn't have any public information, then you will have to do it manually. There is no way around it. Okay. The only way then you can use is you can feed in the company in ChatGPT and then figure out. But my recommendation is, for those specific companies, put in the manual effort to search for them. LinkedIn can help you in terms of getting insights in terms of how much headcount has grown, or if there is any new hiring that has been happening, right? वो कैसे पता चलता है कि if I am moving from one company to another company, I change my job, so instantly LinkedIn updates that into the company profile. So it's able to see the uptick in terms of how many new hirings have been done, or if there is a dip in terms of hiring. So those are the insights that you're able to get. At least that is one, I can say, that confirmed thing that LinkedIn will give you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Mohammed Ataullah.
Hello, thank you, Dan, for a wonderful session. One question in the LinkedIn actually, like, is there any way to find out if somebody is very active on LinkedIn or they're responsive? Like, how is their responsiveness to the people? Yeah.
There is one way. Okay, I'll just show it to you.
Good question, actually.
Present my screen. When you go to the lead search or the lead filters, okay, this filter, recent updates, that's posted on LinkedIn, that is the only way to see if a person is active on LinkedIn or not, if you want to directly see across a database. Otherwise, if you want to see,
Why actually a specific thing that whether that person is actually responds to other people on LinkedIn, like whether he is or like,
responsive on LinkedIn or not.
yeah, I mean, like somebody may not be posting anything, but they might be responding to, like, CEOs generally they don't post anything, but they might.
You need to generally check the profiles of the people, whether they have reacted or not to other people's profile or not, or other people's post or not. That is very important. That's first. The second thing also what comes in. So let's say, for example, just to check on whether that person is active or inactive. Again, in a manual effort, okay, with how many connections that person has. If it is, for example, below 100, okay, you can certainly say that person is very inactive. But if it is, let's say, above 500 plus connections in that person is actually reacting to or commenting on certain posts as well, that person is active. So you can identify manually. It needs to be done. So we have done this for one of our client as well. So we have checked every single profile manually, and we have gone through the, let's say, how many connections they have, how many they have been, let's say, these people are reacting or not, or liking or not to the post. So we do check that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Shahjad, you are on mute, I think. Yeah.
Last question, Shubham Yadav for LinkedIn, and then we'll move to PhantomBuster.
Thank you. By the way, thank you, Pradhan, for the wonderful session. So I'm just curious to understand how and what would be the best way to set up account IQ for better enrichment. Is there anything that you help me out here?
It's an automatic feature, so you just have to click on account IQ. It's a backend algorithm that LinkedIn has only set, so we cannot do anything with it. Just a feature that LinkedIn has provided.
There is nothing that I can set it up.
No, you can, so if you want similar sort of insights, then you can again go back to Clay. Okay. You go back to Clay and you can put in a prompt as to what all things, what all details or customized prompt that you want to give to analyze things. But on LinkedIn, at least the account IQ is something that is not customizable at this point.
Okay, okay. Since you just shared the name of Clay, so I had a question. So that time I was supposed to ask, but there are only 4
So
members that
let's
can
take
ask
up that
questions.
question towards the end. We'll, because of the time, we will move on with PhantomBuster, and then we will ask people to stick up for whoever has any doubts. Yeah.
Sure.
Vardhan, again, try to complete it. In next 20 minutes, so that we
Okay.
can for Q&A.
It'll be done. We'll have room for question and answers. Yeah. Cool. Coming on to the last tool for today. Okay. And again, a quick check. How many of you have heard of PhantomBuster before? A couple of people have, couple of people haven't. Yeah, I'll just present my screen again. And okay. So coming to PhantomBuster. PhantomBuster is a data extraction and scraping platform, which helps us in terms of scraping or collecting data from multiple sources. These are the 3 use cases we're going to cover today. But prior to that, what I'm going to do is I'll just take you through the platform first, give you a quick overview about what the platform looks like. As I said, this is a data scraping tool, which scrapes data from almost multiple social channels. That includes our LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, Google, Instagram. The 3 use cases we're going to cover today are Sales Navigator, Google, Instagram. Okay, how to scrape data from it. My recommendation, whenever you log into this platform, you will get 2 hours of execution time. So execution time is the amount of time it takes to scrape that data. You'll get 2 hours of execution time. I would recommend check out all of the solutions that they are offering. The options or the features that they are offering are called as phantoms. So if I want to export, say, a Sales Navigator search. So if you recollect a couple of seconds ago, I told you that, say, if I have a list of, or if I have already filtered my data, right? How can I extract that data? Or how can I have that in an Excel to analyze it better? Because if I analyze 25 profiles in one go, okay, just from say one page, that becomes too much time consuming. So how do I do it quickly is what we are going to show over here. So there are multiple phantoms that you can explore. So please do go, like, post this session. If you get the time, please do log into this platform, check out what all functionalities does it have, and try to test it out as well. So we're going to start with the Sales Navigator search export. What we're going to do over here is that, say, I'll put in a couple of filters. I'll put in the designation as founder. And yeah. I'll put in geography as India. Cool. So if you see with the designation or the filters that I've put in, LinkedIn is offering me 15,000 plus results. If you see on the top right corner over here. Now, there is a limitation over here that LinkedIn cannot show more than 2,500 results in Sales Navigator. On LinkedIn normal, it will show not more than 1,000 results. Now, there is a restriction that LinkedIn has put at its end so that people don't exploit their data. And we need to be very mindful while we are using that, and we need to stay within those limits as well. So the question over here is, how do I scrape this data? Now, there are web scrapers out there who can help you do it, but PhantomBuster solves that by doing it very simply. Before we use it, I'll show you what all data points are we able to fetch using this particular Phantom. So this is a learn more button that I just clicked on. So you can always do that, wherein you have a quick overview as to what will you need to give to the tool, and in return, what are you going to get. So if you see over here, what am I getting are everything right from their Sales Navigator URL, their name, designation, quick summary, what they have on their profile, their location, how much duration they have been in this company. So all the data points that I need to collect from LinkedIn, I'm able to get that over here. So I'll quickly start by clicking on use now. The first thing that it asks me is copy pasting the Sales Navigator search URL. So wherein I'll just copy this URL, I'll go to PhantomBuster and I'll paste it over here. Okay. Another way to do this is even having a spreadsheet or a Google sheet wherein we have multiple URLs added and then doing it. So I'll click on save. Next step, if you can see, there are 4 steps over here. Next step is it is going to connect with the Sales Navigator account. So I have connected that with the active account that I have on my Chrome tab. I'll move forward. The most important thing over here, as I mentioned, is LinkedIn shows only 2500 results. So you need to mention that specifically over here. So there are already by default, it has mentioned 2500. But if you have lesser results, you can edit this. So say, for example, instead of 15,000, if the results over here show 100 or 200, you can edit that number in terms of how many results to export. And then we'll move on. Over here, in terms of the launch settings, if we have a link where we are manually searching for it and we want to say run it multiple times, we can do repeatedly. Or if you want to do it once, we can do it once and we can move forward. Finally, when I'm clicking on launch, what the Phantom does on the back end, it starts scraping that data from LinkedIn Sales Navigator and then gives me that output. So as you can see over here, the first step that it has done is it is connecting to LinkedIn. So it'll take a couple of seconds over here to connect to LinkedIn and start with the scraping. So we'll, while this happens, what we'll do is we'll explore one more Phantom. So as you can see, it's just connected, but we'll explore one more Phantom. Now, LinkedIn, yes.
Go ahead, Vedant.
Yeah, okay. So say, for example, LinkedIn is one source through which we want to extract the data. But many times there are companies who are looking for people whose data is not available on LinkedIn. What do we do in that case? Say, for example, your data is available on Instagram. Say if I want to target brands or fashion brands on Instagram, then how do I do that? There is no direct way for us to search for, say, fashion brand on Instagram or so. But one thing that Instagram offers is for us to search the hashtags. So if I search for, say, hashtag fashion store, so I'm going to get multiple posts on companies or brands who have added about their products and have mentioned fashion store over there. The question over here comes is, how do I get the data of these posts? So again, for that, we have a Phantom for Instagram. That is, we have the Instagram post collector. Okay, hashtag search export. Okay, this is what we are going to use over here. So again, when I click on use now, it has connected to my Instagram automatically. I click on save and it is asking me what is the hashtag that I want to put in over here. So I can add a URL where I can mention the hashtag directly. Since I have the URL, I'll just copy that, paste that, I'll click on save. It will tell me that how many posts do I want to extract. So Instagram again displays only 28 top posts. So I'll say that I want to do that many. I'll move forward and I'll launch this. The reason I'm going a bit faster here is because I want to show you guys the exact output that we're able to get from these phantoms after it gets scraped. Yeah. So again, so sometimes what happens is there are a couple of issues in terms of the link itself. So always what you can do is that you can go back to the setup and you can enter the hashtag manually over here. So hashtag say fashion store is something that I'm looking for. I'll click on save and I can launch this again. So for any tool, initially, whenever you're starting with it, there's going to be a bit of trial and error. So just ensure that if you're not getting the output, you're trying again and not just stopping at it. Yeah. So if you see over here, we have 2 phantoms that are running. One is our Sales Navigator and one is the Instagram. So you can run multiple such phantoms parallelly to scrape data or to have data collected from multiple sources. Right? So yeah, when I actually see the result over here of the Sales Navigator search export, so as you can see within seconds, it has extracted 174 data points. So when I just refresh over here, it will take some time to give us the results. Okay. Moving on to the third use case that is there. That is the third source. That is Google Maps. So even if say I'm not able to find people or companies that are on Sales Navigator or on LinkedIn or on Instagram, say I'm looking for companies that are more offline driven, then that is wherein Google Maps comes into a picture. one thing I want to highlight over here, it becomes very much important for you to figure out that what is the right data source or what is the right source for you to find your prospect or your ICP companies. It can be any other platform as well. We're covering 3 platforms today, but beyond that, there can be, say, certain directories through which you can find people. So you need to understand what are the tools you can use to get that data. That is where you are solving that particular problem of not just getting restricted to manual activity, but having a web scraping tool that can gather that data. Yeah. In this case, again, say for example, I have searched for Kirana stores in Mumbai, and I want to have their data in place. Again, Google shows 200 results in one particular search. If I want to narrow this down, I can search for specific pin codes in Mumbai as well. So instead of this, I can type Kirana stores in a particular pin code, and then I'll have pin code level data as well. I'll go back to Sales Navigator. Over here, again, I'll go to Google search. So that's wherein we have our Google Maps search export. And when we use this, all I have to do is just copy the search link, paste it over here, continue to save. 120 results is what it can scrape. And I can launch this as well. So parallelly, what's going to happen is I'm able to launch multiple such phantoms and see what is the data that gets extracted. Now, as you can see, it has instantly started processing that particular search, and soon it will even start scraping that result. Meanwhile, let's see the result that we have gotten from Sales Navigator. So I'll just stop this right now to see the output. So as you can see, 323 results have already been scraped. Now this is within minutes that it has done. So while we are parallelly setting all of these, we're able to get this. Now the question over here might come in that, are there any technical requirements for running these tools? No, these are all cloud-based tools, so you can run on any system. Okay? And this is how our output looks like, wherein we have the full name, company name, the designation. We have their summary. So if in their description or in the summary we want to search for something specific, we can even do that. And yeah, we have the other details that are relevant for us. So I've also seen a lot of companies, they would want to target people who have been in that same company since a particular duration, since say 5 years or 4 years in that organization, because they might be more aware of the company's processes, approval processes. So that's wherein this particular filter comes into picture. Yes.
So I would also like to add, so PhantomBuster gives a lot of columns. Okay, so you need to choose your columns as well. So we'll show you one dump file, what we do as a company. So you need to select your results. Okay, because PhantomBuster gives around 16 to 17 columns in their one result. Okay, and afterwards, it's very necessary for us to actually choose specific columns what we want. Vedant, can you show a dump file?
Yeah, I'm just showing. Yeah. So this is how the dump file looks like. Yes.
And post the dump file, how we have cleaned it and how we have actually done it. Can you show that file as well?
Yeah. So once, say for example, this is the dump file, I'll just show you one of the clean files as well. Just a second. So this is how the clean data looks like, wherein we have specific columns that we are looking for mentioned. That includes, say, the first name, full name, last name, the company name, the domain, the headcount, and the designation. Now, again, this depends as to what columns that you might require. As I was explaining, if duration is something or duration in that role is something that is relevant to you, you can keep that column. Otherwise, you can remove it. If you want to even keep the connections as to whether they are a first degree, second degree connection, you can mention that, or else if you want, you can delete it.
So organizing your data is very important. It's your first priority that you need to have in place rather than actually extracting the data or enriching the data, because you need to understand how you want to actually organize the data, because it will give a lot of tools give a lot of dump to us. So we need to first organize the data based on our requirement and then only actually extract the data. Yeah.
Cool. So that was about how the Sales Navigator data looks like. We'll quickly see how the other data also looks like. So we saw Instagram. So yeah, so this is how the Instagram data looks like, wherein we have the post URL, we have the username. Okay, we have the full name. We know how many comments. So another use case of this is for people who are in the marketing space and who want to analyze, say, the social behavior or what is the engagement that, say, a brand is getting. And again, you can use this to analyze the comments, likes, and the description and the other details as well. So this is how the output for the Instagram looks like as well. And again, you need to clean this because there are columns that you might need, you might not need. Yeah. Finally, we'll even see the output that we are getting through Google Maps. So this is how we are getting the output for Google Maps. We have the name of the Kirana store. We have the ratings that they have. We have the review count. We have other attributes as to the classification, whether they are supermarket, grocery store, or what. We have their exact address. If they have mentioned phone numbers on their Google Map listing, we get that. We get the timings that are there. So these are all the relevant details that we might get. Because many times what happens is if we are targeting names like Kirana stores, then we can directly even reach out to them over their numbers, because ideally these might be the numbers of the owners of the Kirana store. So that is one way you can utilize Google Maps data, not just to get details in terms of the name or the address, but even the contact details. So this was about the 3 use cases for PhantomBuster as well. Now I think we can open for Q&A as well.
Perfect. First of all, thank you, Vedant and Priyank. You guys definitely deserve a round of applause for going through such complex Clay and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is bread and butter for a lot of B2B folks. I'll just stop the recording, and then we can